Greetings, folks. This is Oral Ofori of the African Dream. Today we have for our special guest, Dennis Lucas Bioh. Dennis is going to tell us a little bit about himself and a project he's working on that is very important for the African diaspora community here in the USA. Dennis, welcome to the African Dream.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. It's good to have you. Now, tell us, we hear the project you're working on is the Africa Community Resource Center. What is the Africa Community Resource Center about?
The African Community Resource Center is really a safe haven for Africans that are coming from Africa into the United States.
Right.
That's where the idea started from. But we also see that it's not just in America or Europe. We see a vast majority of Africans leaving Africa for better lives. So they go on to Europe, they come to America. So there needs to be a platform for them to be able to have access to or navigate the system. So that's where the idea came from.
Now, you talked about where the idea is coming from. What started to entertain this idea?
Well, the idea came from myself actually coming from Ghana as a kid. Now, going through the school systems and growing up here, I left to go to college. And then when I came back from college, I saw that there was no change in the people that I saw growing as a kid. Everything was the same. There was no change in themselves or, whatever is work or career or
when
whatever.
You talk about change, what kind of change are you?
Like financial, progressive, economic,
Okay.
the whole nine. So I asked myself, well, could there be some reason why, But then again, I thought about, all the resources that's available. But then myself being a young adult or being a youth, there wasn't those, resources available to me. Even though they were available, I didn't have it in my hand. It
wasn't within easy access or immediate reach?
Right. So I thought about, okay, how then can I use that platform to, create something for our people so that they can gain access to resources.
So that was where the inspiration came from.
That's right.
Now, you talked about coming to school here in the U.S. Where'd you go to school?
Well, elementary school, Washington Mills.
Okay.
And then I went to Walt Whitman Middle School.
Where is that?
Walt Whitman is in Alexandria, Virginia.
Okay.
Then I went to Mount Vernon High School. I didn't finish Mount Vernon. I left Mount Vernon High School my junior year. Ended up in Stonewall Jackson High School in Manassas, Virginia.
Okay.
From there, I went to Liberty University.
Where's Liberty?
Lynchburg, Virginia.
Right. So you've had majority of your schooling life here in the Northern Virginia area of the USA.
Correct.
Now let's go back to Ghana. Where in Ghana are you from?
Kumasi.
Kumasi Abranti.
That's right.
Nice. Now, what inspired the move from Ghana and Kumasi to the USA?
Well, that I had no control because my dad came first and then brought my mom. So then it was only right for me and my siblings to join my parents here.
Good. That's interesting. Now, talk about the journey to the Africa Community Resource Center. You talked about what inspired it. Now we're embarking on that journey to create it, make that inspiration a reality.
Correct.
What is that journey looking like right now?
Well, it's been an incredible journey so far. Especially when I came out of college with, fresh out of college, you would want to get a job as a young adult. You went to school to do that, but I only actually worked for about 3 months. And then I wasn't really excited about, even though it was a good paying job in a good, field, I really found myself not happy in it because this idea was still, so it took about, it took about a good 6 months to actually be like, okay, you know what, let's give this a try. And then from there, I found myself in doing sales, and then from sales into a little bit of business and then into leadership. I thought, until I can actually put this thing up, I had to, actually, equip myself. Right. So it was the self-organization and then putting this organization together. So it's been a great journey. So far, we've had some great success, some setbacks, but I think overall it's been a great journey, and I wouldn't trade it for anything.
We're talking about erecting an entire building from foundation to, roof.
Correct.
What is your estimated timeline for completion of this project?
We're in our last phase right now, just working on the location, pinpoint, and also getting the zoning and everything right. So that's about 3 to 6 months, and then you have the construction period that will take about 18 months. So you're probably looking about a period of 2 to 2.5 years. Okay. So actual completion.
Okay, and we're in 2017 right now, so we're looking at probably 2019 or early
2019, 2020.
2020 perfect vision.
Huh? That's right. That's right.
Nice. That's interesting. Now, let's show our viewers, an idea of what the building is going to look like when it's complete. Dennis was kind enough to share a video with us, so we're going to have you take a look at the video and have a feel of what it's going to look like when it's done. And when we get back, we'll talk some more about the building and its features. Enjoy. This is Oral Ofori of the African Dream. Welcome back. This is Oral Ofori of the African Dream. If you're just joining us, today we have here with us Dennis Lucas Bioh, and he's talking with us about his dream project, which is the Africa Community Resource Center. And the video you just saw was an idea of what the building is going to look like when it's completed. And Dennis is going to tell us a little bit more about the features of the building. Tell us, Dennis, what is the building called to start with?
The Last Tier.
The Last Tier. Now tell us, why the Last Tier?
Architecturally, it's iconic. We wanted something that would be, very attractive, very, creative, but then also symbolizes something. The struggles that Black people have kind of endure. The fight for Black liberation. But there's also, a bit of fresh air that's, there. So we thought, okay, the last tier will be, this organization being the last, safe haven for the African community. Yeah.
That's quite interesting. So it's kind of like the last tear that you would shed on your way to living the American dream.
Correct.
Tell us, what is the building constituted of? How many floors, and what are the amenities and the resources available in the building, briefly?
There's 4 levels. There's a basement that consists of a ballroom, like auditorium, that our people can actually utilize, for their everyday activities, funerals. We are very cultural, so why not? Funerals, outdoors, events, weddings, and then there's a 300-seater auditorium where it can be used for summits, forums, and all the activities. And then the main floor is the business area, where we also have a restaurant there. We have our various offices. We have a bookstore. It is very uniquely designed. On the second floor is the library, which will also be the resource center, where we have all our database and all the resources that we'll be providing for our people. There will also be a game room for the young people to kind of recreational, but very modern, very very exciting. Really, some of the amenities that we have there: the game room, the gym, the cardio room. Also, we have a museum near that portrays the right image of Africa in certain places or certain locations in Africa that nobody ever talk about. So we want to create the opportunity for people to actually be more informed about what is in Africa, and possibly be the driving force of the reason why people want to go back.
There are people who have pushed themselves further enough to be able to sort of like maybe have their own small business going. Now, if they needed a place like a hub where they can go to and use temporarily as like an office as they work towards getting to that place where they have their own office environment, thus the last year when completed, would it provide such opportunity?
Yeah, we do. We have some program that is designed for entrepreneurs, but for those ones, they go through our incubating program, where the entrepreneur will have the opportunity to be incubated for 4 months period, and then also see grants and funding for their particular project, and also a mentor that will help them. So yeah, they will have that availability to them.
Right. You talked about a mentor.
Right.
Tell us, who are some of the people that inspired you, or that continue to inspire you as you work on this project and hopefully have it become a reality by 2020 or early?
Well, you have your celebrities that you see on TV, that I want to be just like them, and then you have those people that you have close contacts with that you actually admire. And one of those people really, Mr. Chanwe, a Senegalese American that I got to know for over the past 3 years, that have really helped shape my thinking and my leadership capabilities, and the whole nine. That's one person that has really grown me to be that kind of person that I even didn't think that I could be. Mr. Rafi Kehayan, also he's actually an Armenian American. Him and his brother John Kehayan. There's a lot of people, but these people have actually played a lot of
an integral role.
Yeah.
Interesting. Now you mentioned Mr. Chanwe, who is a Senegalese American, and you mentioned an Armenian American, and you are a Ghanaian living in the USA.
Correct.
That brings to mind diversity. This project is basically going to cater to the needs of the immigrant, especially the African immigrant. But who else are we looking to cater to through this project?
Everybody. The building is for Africans to get access, but so do, as Hispanic community, a Caucasian community, everybody, believe it or not, we all want the same thing in life,
Right.
So just because I need certain resources to, kind of get a, boost or, heads up, doesn't mean my Asian or my Hispanic, brother doesn't need it. So it's really open to the public,
Interesting. Now, you've talked a lot about the project and what it means to you, but let's just ask again, what's so special about this project?
I think what makes it really unique is, for me personally, being a young guy, being a young African guy that came here as a young kid and seeing the opportunities that's available, and even putting myself in a position to do something like this, and being set of influence on other young Africans that also will come from different parts of Africa into the United States, to see that there is a way of doing something for yourself, and also being an example that people, these kids or these youth, young people can see that and say also wants to do something. That for me, that's what makes this project so special. The fact that another kid can see that, oh, he's one of us and he's able to do that. Yeah.
Be an example to
Yeah.
this. Now, this is a huge project, of course. 4 floors and a basement and all these amenities you're providing, and the opportunities that people are going to reap from the project when it's finally off the ground and standing on its own. It takes a lot to create something like this. What's the finances behind it? Who's sponsoring this? How are you financing it?
We actually have some, big interest from some investors that we're working with. We're also trying to, find a platform for our, African leaders to also be a part of it, so that, our people here will be able to go back home to do something for Africa.
Right.
But if we don't get the support of the leaders from Africa to be able to help settle the people that are here, because we are the fortunate ones to be in the West, and with the education and with the the influence of the West that we have, we'll be able to go back. So we want to also get the head of states in Africa is involved, and also some of the businesses and corporations and that operates in Africa, whether they are from Europe or from United States going to Africa to settle. We want to we want everybody to be a part. But we have some investors that we are working close with that will help with the financing.
Based on what you're saying, there is financing behind this project.
Correct.
That would definitely make you meet your deadline.
Correct.
Or even get it done before that.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. Now, who's behind the architecture?
Mr. Giacomo Gaiati, based in Italy.
Okay.
Very good friend of mine. We met about 3 years ago in Washington D.C. In a fellowship that Mr. Chonwen actually put together.
Okay.
So we met then, and during our conversation, through the years we actually became good friends, and we had the opportunity to go to Ghana. While we were there, doing our conversations, we actually worked on the project, a year prior.
Right.
But our time in Ghana really kind of gave the project a better, meaning, better perspective, right? So it was then where we actually, came up with a different concept, and how, because being in Ghana really opened our eyes to understand, okay, Ghana really can use, someone like me,
right,
that have this opportunity. So,
right.
Mr. Giacomo Gaiati.
So, Mr. Giacomo is the one we're seeing in the picture on the screen that Dennis is talking about. And, yeah, you could tell it's very important to be able to go back home every once in a while if you are able to afford, the possibility financially. We know it's expensive to travel back home, but
right.
hey, when you're out here, you always have to realize that you're coming from somewhere and you have a root, and whenever the opportunity presents itself to go home, just take advantage of it, because you never know. People back home might see you and it might open doors of opportunity, or that you might open doors of opportunity for them, or they would open doors for you. Either way, home is where the heart is. Just go back home, network, visit with family, eat some good African food. And, Dennis, tell us, what is the long-term, effect you're hoping to, achieve through this project? When Dennis is done with this project and he's moved on to other things, what do you hope for this to create, to bring about?
I don't think the work of this organization will ever be done. Because the main idea is to even help create a middle class in Africa. Okay, so it's going to be an ongoing thing. It's just the programs that we've designed will be effective enough to create, the outcome that we're expecting.
Right.
We want, people here to be able to go back to Africa to, create, jobs, to create open schools and, infrastructure. We can't just depend on our African governments alone. So the long-term effect is using this platform at this location in the West, in the United States, to create and attract people to our people that are here to go back to Africa and use that.
Interesting. Go back to Africa. Now, when was the last time you went back to Ghana?
Last year.
Last year. Interesting. What took you?
We have other projects in Africa as well. The organization has been operated, and some of our programs executed in parts of Africa, in Senegal, in Benin, Morocco, all over really. So in Ghana, it was just one of those things. We run youth empowerment summits in Ghana every year. So we're actually going to be going back this year.
That's interesting. Yeah, it's interesting. Now, if people want to find out more about this project, I'm assuming there's a website that you can visit. Could you give out the address?
The address is www.acrcusa.org. They can find all the information about the organization, the architectural work, how to get involved, in some of our programs, in fundraising efforts, donating, all of that. www.acrcusa.org is that place you can visit.
The Africa Community Resource Center is the projects that you're hoping to implement. Do you have a non-profit associated with this effort?
Yeah, the organization is actually a non-profit.
Okay.
The organization is registered as a non-profit.
This is the African Dream. That's the name of this program, and when we invite guests on it, we try as much as we can to ask what their African dream is. And so I'd like to take this opportunity before we run out of time to ask Dennis Lucas Bioh, what is your African dream?
My African dream would be, everybody really being on the same playing field. I see there's a, huge gap, in Africa. There's no middle class. There's too many people have it and too many people don't have it, So my African dream is to be able to kind of bridge that, gap a bit with this organization and other organizations that are pretty much doing the same thing or the things that we want to do.
Folks, my name is Oral Ofori, and we have for our guest Dennis Lucas Bioh. He's the founder of the African Community Resource Center, and he just talked with us about their current project, which is called The Last Tier, and they're looking forward to completing it hopefully before 2020 or by 2020. And if you want to get in touch with him to find out how you can cooperate and help with this project, the website address he gave out earlier is also scrolling right there on the screen. Get in touch with him. I'm sure he'll appreciate any form of help and networking possibilities. Thanks for watching. Thanks for joining us here on the African Dream, Dennis. It's been a pleasure having you. And all the best with your project.
Thank you.
All right. 2020. Perfect vision.
Yeah.
From the west side, no need to test side. She come through anytime, side. She like me cause I make sure they come, side. Every day, all day, we dey rock this world like Bobby. We should understand the meaning of loyalty. She keep it 100 all day. I bet you know that that's what a soldier needs. So I try to provide the needs. They wanna run down, she dey run things. Because of that, step under the fiesta.
Yo, who go stay? Girl who will never play. I'm looking for a girl who go pray, not about the